Star jokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last word, the final few minutes of CMC 2021, our 18th conference and our second in the virtual space. We hope you've enjoyed and found useful the live stream sessions and that you've been taking the opportunity to watch any you missed or will do. They're nearly all up on the platform now. Just click on the timetable to find them. Equally, we hope the 50 video titles have also proved valuable. All this material will remain here on the platform and you can access and watch until September the 30th. So you've got the prospect of all summer dipping in to complete your CMC experience. And we have a lot of people to thank for all these insights and shared learning. I'm not going to name them all, but over 200 speakers, experts, moderators, and our wonderful change makers come to mind. We're enormously grateful to everyone who gives their time and expertise so freely, as all of them did. Equally, the session producers and all the members of the advisory committee and our extra working groups on research, inclusivity, and keynotes. The people who put all this content together, every one of them a volunteer. It's a tribute to how collaborative and friendly our industry can be. Thanks to you all. None of it would be possible without our 70 or so sponsors, and a particular thank you to our patron sponsors who have been with us through the whole of this year to keep CMC events alive. And, of course, the team behind the platform and behind the scenes at CMC, the Skill Builder, and the International Exchange. You know who you are, and I hope you know how much we're all grateful for the long days and late nights. And finally, all of you, our delegates, just under 1,000 of you from every corner of the globe who make CMC what it is. From your ideas for sessions, yes, start thinking about those now for next year, to your enthusiastic participation in the live streams, in the Wonder networking, and in our social events, including last night's karaoke, where a little gem popped up, which really sums up what we feel about all of you. It's a contribution from the Blue Zoo Virtual Choir. All I can say is keep watching until the very end of the session. And then come and meet us immediately afterwards as we celebrate CMC with farewell drinks. It's a bring your own party, I'm afraid, and that's at Wonder at 4:30. So that's it. We're done here. Apart from our traditional final moment, the last word. We always try to make it performance-based and to make you think. This year is no exception. Throughout the conference, a recurring theme has emerged: listening to kids, empowering them, trusting in their creativity, enabling them to make a difference, and maybe change the world. Nathan Gearing is doing all of that. Nathan strives to make work that heightens accessibility for both disabled and non-disabled artists and audiences. He was the artistic director of the 2017 Special Olympics opening ceremony. His passion for connecting cutting-edge technologies to accessibility in dance, theatre, music production, and art has led him to the multi-award-winning Rationale method of audio description, which uses the skills of beatboxers and poets to provide a richer soundscape for people with a visual impairment. What we're about to see is a show that's been 4 years in the making, in collaboration with Sheffield Kids, in care and with special needs. CMC has been talking to Nathan throughout, looking for the right time to showcase it. Trust in Care premiered at Sheffield's Crucible Theatre a few weeks ago.
As I float in the air like a fairy, I'm cold and icy, I'm pretty to look at. Then I land gracefully on the ground, melting or sinking into the snow, like a boat drowning. I'm also silent, fast, and slow, as I hear more of my snowflake friends glide down. The wind whistles, like a howling wolf. Now a little girl appears. She's only young. She giggles as she holds out her hands to catch one of my friends. Her laugh sounding like an angel's voice from heaven. I'm created of ice, but to people, I ain't ugly, nor entirely smooth. But I'm spiky on the ends and beautiful. I go on top of cars and melt, or I go on windows and make a misty print. To children love to catch me, and to dogs lick the ice off of me with their tongues. I'm softer than a snow hail, or hailstone if you like. I'm gentle when I land on you, not like the hailstone where it hits you like lots of little heavy rocks. As to you, my dear friends, I must go, for I'm melting. Bit by bit, like a snowman. I will come again at Christmas time, not the same person, but I will still be magical, for I am a snowflake, not a person.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? My name is Nathan Gearing, and I'd like to talk to us all about trust and trust within young people. Now, as adults and professionals, we expect our young children to trust us, even though they barely even know us. But what happens when that trust gets broken? What happens when that trust is abused in some way, shape, or form? What impact does that have on our children? And with regarding to that, what can we do in order to ensure that our young children feel safe and secure when that trust has been broken? Now, what happens when things are further complicated when we are working with vulnerable young people? For example, young people in care, a lot of them end up in the care system and have experiences of trust that has been broken by adults. And this can be by, close family members or professionals and things. And so, again, it kind of rocks their foundation. And so we need to ensure that we don't just assume that these young people should trust us. In order to ensure that our young people have the best start possible, we need to listen to them. For example, the poetry that you just witnessed attached to that video was made by a young person in care. And even though her trust had been broken by a lot of adults, she was still able to turn to creativity in order to work as like a coping mechanism for herself. And what is great within that is the fact that it was just something that was just innate inside her. It was just something that she felt just needed to get out in order to help her deal with certain emotionally challenging situations. And I guess unbeknownst to her, she was actually honing her craft as a professional artist, because what was a great source of therapy to her allowed her to sharpen her skills as a poet and as a writer. And I remember when I first started working with this young lady, I was just absolutely just blown away by her skills. I was just like, wow, this kid is next level in terms of the poetry that she can create. It's absolutely beautiful. And so I thought, okay, I want to ensure that we can celebrate her art in a way that she'll also appreciate and understand. Over the years, I've worked as a creative mentor, and I've worked with a lot of young people in care. And a lot of young people in care, they're written off by the rest of society as, people who are just troublemakers, or people that are just like, waste, time wasters and things. Whereas I tend to see these young people as people that have just had their trust broken by us adults. And so within working with that, the first thing I do is I take a genuine interest in the young people that I work with, not just because it's work, but actually just to take a genuine interest in them as human beings, find out what they are genuinely interested in, find out what they're passionate about. And if they don't know what they're passionate about, well, then we can just go on a journey and find out together what it is that they may be passionate about. And I found that actually within doing that, it opened up a lot of doors and a lot of, I guess, mutual respect for one another, because I was also trying out things that I'd never tried out before. And with young people, that kind of like resonates, because it shows that you're willing to put yourself into a position of vulnerability with them, because obviously from the get-go they're having to put themselves in a position of vulnerability with us professionals. So it's great when we can also put ourselves in those positions of vulnerability and show them that it's okay to mess up, it's okay to not get things right the first time, it's okay to fail, and I'm going to show you it's okay because I'm going to mess up and I'm going to fail and things like that. And we can learn together, and we can have an experience where we can grow together, not only as artists, but also as human beings. It can be a great step into the unknown for these young people to do these types of things. No more so than another young person I worked with. This young person is completely blind, so they have zero light perception. And they're also a young person in care. And so again, literally every single step that this person takes is a step into the unknown, because they can't see. And so again, I work with this young person, and with my company, we teach like breaking, or as the commercial public knows it as, breakdance, as a means of injury prevention and to improve spatial awareness. And the reason is because a lot of people with visual impairment fall and get injured, and breaking is just known as falling with style, right? So we embarked on teaching people with visual impairment breaking as a means of injury prevention and to improve spatial awareness, so it actually becomes a valid life skill. And yeah, it took quite some time to persuade this young person to try out the sessions, but we managed to get this young person to try out the sessions, and I'll let them explain what it was like for them in terms of the whole entire experience. So this is an excerpt from us being featured on BBC Strictly It Takes Two just before Christmas. We were featured as like inspirational artists, and so yeah, I'd like to play the next video, which is called the Blind Breaker.
My name is Crispin, I'm 16 years old and I am visually impaired. I lost sight in one eye at 4 months, and then I was completely blind by the age of 6 due to a condition called glaucoma aniridia, which is hereditary. I met Nathan in May of 2019 as a creative mentor, and he was like, I'm teaching a breakdance class for visually impaired people in a couple of hours, do you want to come along? Point out, I was absolutely adamant that I weren't going to do it. I did not want to dance at all.
With a little bit of gentle persuasion, 6 months worth of it, it ended up him taking this journey into the world of dance, and he hasn't looked back ever since.
I used to be really shy. I remember when I first met you, I barely spoke. But obviously through all the performances and stuff, then I've had to talk to people. Like on that first performance, everyone wanted to talk to me afterwards.
Yeah, that's because they were blown away by all the incredible stuff that you were doing. A year ago, Crispin hated dance. You wouldn't even have got him on the dance floor or attended a dance class or anything. And so to go from that to performing in front of like hundreds of people is just amazing.
When you're in that moment and everyone's encouraging you to carry on, you just don't want to stop, you just want to keep going forever. And even though I'm like so tired, so happy, and like, it's just great. Buzzing.
When I became a father, I thought, what if I was to wake up tomorrow and I couldn't see my baby girl? And I wasn't emotionally prepared for that, if I'm honest. I decided to utilize the thing that made me afraid to help empower people with disabilities to have happy and fulfilling lives. Right, Chris, we're gonna hit you up with a knee spin, bro. Start off slowly. and gradually get faster. So I've been teaching people with visual impairment for about 8 years now. Spin, arms out nice and wide. And we've developed a way to teach people how to fall safely, but also how to improve their spatial awareness. Spin, spin, spin. I developed a special technique called the rationale method. And within that, we have certain sound effects that correspond to certain movements. Kick, cross, corkscrew down, 12 step. Because it's one thing to describe a movement with just words, but you know, words, they can't give you a fuller picture, whereas a sound effect, you can get an idea of speed, angle, and trajectory all at once. And down.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, player. So.
I'd say since I started the breakdance, I've probably been a lot happier, to be fair, because when I'm doing the dance, then you could just like forget about anything that's going on, any stress or worries or whatever, and just enjoy the moment.
You know, the fact that you doing this, you know, makes you feel happier within yourself. For me, it's, you know, it's more than words can express, if I'm honest. But yeah, I've got to say I'm really proud of everything you've achieved so far. Big respect, Crispin.
When people hear my story, I'd hope that they'd be inspired to take up dancing. If people want to start breakdance but they're not sure about like how to do it, or if they're scared of falling, then just put that fear behind you, try it and have fun.
Yeah, boy, all right, you got it.
No, we're easy.
Oh, was it now?
Yeah, of course it will.
All right then, well, I'm gonna work you hard next time, boy.
We'll see.
Okay, so yeah, so that was that young person's journey. Now, that young person had only been dancing for like a year, and then all of a sudden they've gone from not liking dance whatsoever to practicing dance, becoming really passionate about it, and then being featured on one of Britain's, like, you know, most watched dance television shows in history. So again, their trajectory was massive, and you know, that was, you know, because they felt that they were in a position where they could trust everything that we were doing in terms of teaching them the dance movements, the techniques, but also the pastoral skills and the emotional skills that go along with it. So that young person was Crispin back in that video, but since then they've become they're now trans, and their name is Robin. And so while still working with Robin throughout this production and this process, she's really found that doing the dance sessions and working on a production, which I'm going to talk about in a second, kind of like really helped her to I guess have a happy and positive outlook, because obviously transitioning through you know, becoming from for example a he to a she can be, you know, a very emotionally difficult time, not only for herself but also for her family. But she said that with actually doing these sessions, these dance sessions and things, it actually helped her mental health, and it enabled her to maintain focus. So that was brilliant. So we decided to create a professional production based on young people in care being not only our artistic consultants, but also to have the opportunity to either perform or to create some kind of artistic content that could be featured in our professional production called Trust in Care. Now, within this, we had our young people in care as our artistic consultants, because we wanted to create a production that actually gives a true reflection of the lived experience of what it's like to be a young person in care. And so we didn't want to be those people that sit in the ivory tower and just be like, well, I think it's like this, so I'm going to say, no, we don't work like that here. What we did was we worked with these young people, and we made them our artistic consultants, so they already felt like they had a stake in ownership of the production. And so, for example, we'd create, we deliver like artistic residencies with them and create specific scenes. And then based on those scenes, they give us feedback like, that's rubbish, we don't feel like that, or yeah, that's exactly how we feel, or we can relate to that. And so based on that, what we did was we were able to create a production that actually had a true reflection of their experience. Not only that, the young people in care, they had the opportunity to either perform, create poetry, or even be like technicians on the production. And then the hope is that next year we're going to take it on a UK tour. And then within that, other young people in care, they can work as, again, just as performers, or as technicians, or contribute poetry or some other kind of artistic input. For example, they could shadow the director or the choreographer and things. And if we have like two performances in each venue, on day one there'll be the assistant, on day two they'll be running things, and the professionals will be supporting them. And then hopefully what will then happen is the year after, when we do another production, when we do another tour, they'll be running the production entirely themselves, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to give them a lived experience of a career pathway into the arts, because as you know, we don't normally get that experience and that opportunity to have that lived experience. Now, obviously, within working with this production, like I said, we had Robin, who was one of the main stars of the show. Again, because she's blind, it was imperative that we ensured that the production was fully accessible right from the inception. But not only from an audience member's perspective, but also from a performer's perspective, because there's so many productions that are made with accessibility as an add-on at the end. And the problem with that is, especially with audio description, you don't give the accessibility enough time to breathe. And because of that, sometimes the audio description can be really, really fast, or it can be quite bland and dry, and there's not enough dynamic to capture a person's imagination. So within what we do, we ensure that we work with the accessibility elements right from the inception of the production. And so we made this piece called Trust in Care, which was accessible not only to the audiences. So for example, the audio description was actually available for the entire audience to hear. So it's part of the main soundscape. We had a BSL interpreter who was also, delivering BSL, which is fully integrated into the dance production. But also the audio description helped to enhance accessibility for the blind and partially sighted performer. So for example, if they got disorientated on stage, the audio describer could literally guide them back to safety within the aesthetics of the audio description. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea in terms of the genius of how audio description can enhance accessibility for performers as well as sighted and partially sighted audience members and things. So yeah, that was great. We had, you'll see markings on this next video as well on the stage. These stage markings were used to again help Robin get a sense of orientation within the space. The poetry you'll hear in the production, that was done by a young person in care as well. Another young person in care who worked on the production, who you will see acting, they also had they also had an incredible part to play within this production. But yeah, without further ado, I'd like to showcase to you some highlights and some elements of Trust in Care.
Robin sits in a kitchen at a table. She pours salt into a bowl.
Morning.
Nathan cheerfully walks into the kitchen and sits next to a grumpy Robin.
I said, good morning. Morning.
He pours himself a cup of tea.
So, we've got a few ideas for today, Robin. I thought we could start off by heading into town and getting you a new coat. I mean, I know you already got one, but let's face it, starting to look pretty tight, right?
He takes a sip and spits it out in disgust. He dips his finger into the sugar bowl.
So, Robin, I thought we'd already been through this.
Oh, I didn't do anything.
Oh yeah, you didn't do anything. So why is it when I dip my finger in the sugar bowl, I can taste salt then?
I said I didn't do anything.
Don't shout at me. I'm the adult here. And stop lying.
God, it was just a joke.
Jokes are supposed to be funny. Do you see me laughing?
I didn't think you...
That's your problem. You don't think, do you? All you do is just mess around and do whatever you want without taking into account anybody else's feelings. How am I supposed to trust you when you go up like this?
Fine, don't trust me then. You're just like the rest of them.
Robin gets angry and storms off.
Robin!
And that is why Biggie is the greatest artist of all time.
What? Nah, there's no way Biggie's better than Whitney.
Whitney who?
Houston, hello. I will always love you.
See, I knew you loved me.
Totally different kids. Sarah pies him off.
No, okay. The song.
Oh, that's old people music. Biggie outranks them all. He's got flow, he's got rhymes. Did you even listen to Juicy? It's about hope. Everybody could use a bit of hope in their lives.
Okay, but look at all that beef Biggie got himself into. I don't want that for you.
Whitney wasn't squeaky clean either. I got 2 words for you. Or beef. Yes, that's right. I'm not only handsome, I'm smart as well. Alexa, play Biggie.
Yeah, so that was just some of the excerpts of our production Trust and Care, and it was a massive success. We sold out the Crucible Theatre. We also got a standing ovation. We had like a number of people in Care who watched the production, and like they felt it was a true and accurate representation of themselves and things. We even had people who, for example, were in the Care system 40 years ago, and they said that how they could still actually relate to what they saw within the production. We had professionals within the Care system. We even had judges who actually deal with young people in care saying that, you know, they could relate to the production and their part to play in it, and whether they could see themselves as either the red tape or the system, and they were kind of like really kind of like reflecting on, you know, their role within the system. So the production had a massive impact on everybody involved. So that was great. I'd just like to tell you just a really short story about kind of like how this all began for me. And basically I was working with the first ever young person in care I worked with. She was about 12, 13 years old, and she'd arranged for us to go abseiling. And I was like, right, well, me and Heights ain't friends, so we ain't going. And she was like, yep, it's all booked, I'm sorted it. So I was like, wow. So of course we went there, and she wanted me to go first to abseil off this bridge. So I'm going down, and then I get about halfway down the bridge, then I look up, and this young 12-year-old kid is holding my rope. Do you know, I mean, I'm hoping there was like a worker behind her holding onto the rope as well. But as far as I was concerned, at that moment in time, all I could see was this 12-year-old child holding my rope. And that's when it hit me. It's like, you know, as professionals, we expect young people to trust us. But when do we actually put ourselves in positions where we have to truly trust them? And right there and then, I had no choice. My life was literally in her hands. So I could have either decided that, do you know what, I'm just going to be uptight and worried and stressed and have a breakdown and not trust her, or just completely trust this young person. And I was able to do that. And in doing that, in the ability to be able to tolerate uncertainty, I was able to have a great time. And that did wonders for our relationship. And so from that, I would just like to say that if we can find ways to also put ourselves in positions where we trust those young people in care and they feel that, then that can open the door to incredible, loving relationships. And on that note, I'd like to play you our last video, which includes poetry from one of our young people in care. Thank you.
Love is all around you, in the air, in your heart. I am never or can be destroyed. I'm the most powerfulest of them all. Comes in many ways, shapes and forms. There's not just one type of me, there's several. Romantic, friendly, nature and animals. For every accident you do to a person or animal you love, you can make me up. I will never be cruel or scary, for I am in your soul. I come way before beauty, hatred or even loss. Every one of you has me. You can't see it, but you can use it. Proper love is when we properly show it. Hatred always loses, so does evilness. Maybe you'll walk by and see two cute doves in love, or brother and sister playing together. But when you turn your back on me thinking I'll burn out, I won't. I won't hurt or burn you back. Instead, I'll love you back. Now close your eyes, I say. Who do you properly love?
I will be king, and you will be queen. For nothing will drive them away. We can beat them just for one day. We can be heroes just for one day.
I wish you could swim like the dolphins, like dolphins can swim. Though nothing will keep us together, we can beat them forever and ever. We can be heroes just for one day.